to this. Nobody else wanted to get up there. Okay, well anyway, there's 9 of us, so if some are not up here, you know who you are. 7, 8. So perfect, now everybody can read their own memory.
That wasn't the deal.
It was a trick. Anyway, so I'm going to start from the top. So first there was Lisa, and the thought that is always there is Grandma's hands when I go to wring out a cloth. Grandma had spent about 20 minutes explaining to me and literally showing me that I could wring out the cloth more. And I did ask her if this was like in her 40s or when she was a kid. She said it was when she was a kid. She had the strongest, most beautiful hands, and I hope that mine will look just like hers. But the best things I can say, and I'm not sure these are the words for it, but as soon as I walked into her home, there was a feeling of serenity. All my worries, troubles, and stress of whatever was going on disappeared. Just like she had strong hands that could wring out that cloth, she also had a strong presence that always made me feel safe and secure. I have learned many things from Grandma, like gardening and cooking, but I will always be grateful for the quiet strength that she emanated without force. That was from Lisa. And then, shortly after that, Les came along. I want to say one thing for sure. It was all about the food. Strawberries and ice cream before bed, cabbage rolls, meat rolls in a bun that we dipped in ketchup, which are called cabbage buns, by the way. Dumplings, pork hocks, coffee cake, you name it. Cookies after school, well, there were cookies all the time. The best triangle biscuits. I definitely hold the world record in the amount of Grandma's pizza buns that I ate. Maybe Kyle would like to rival that. Thanks to Mary, she found that pizza bun recipe. Carmelie has since made copies of it for the family. It's in Grandma's handwriting. My kids wanted to add the memories they had at Great-Grandma Binner's at Christmas time, always greeted with laughter, a house so clean and decorated. Of course, the smell of something cooking, her angelic voice, a bit of a tear shed when we had to leave. Hillary couldn't be with us today, but any day now she is soon to make Great-Grandma Binner even greater. We will cherish the memories of Grandma. She had the best voice ever, a one of a kind. And then again, very shortly after last, was David. Linda. If I had to think of my fondest memory of Grandma, it would probably be of all the things butchering chickens at the hunting lodge. Grandma probably was in her early 80s. Mom, Sandra were there along with Les, Lisa, and I. I remember her jumping in immediately. Although her hands were arthritic, they were strong and could pluck a chicken like no other. Each of us fell into our roles that day, all trained by Grandma. We talked, we laughed, and truly had the most fun, even though what we were doing was not the most desirable of jobs. I remember taking it all in and thinking what a great family she had created, what great life skills she wanted to pass on to the next generations. I loved how she could take charge yet teach, how everything was perfectly clean and organized, always a clean tea towel or rag nearby. That was Grandma. She was an amazing role model and family woman, traits that have become a part of who I am. I will miss her dearly. And then me. If you knew my Grandma, you knew that everything she did beautifully. A job well done was something that she valued no matter how big or small the task. And this is the expectation she had of her grandchildren too. I'll never forget the time I drove her to one of her eye appointments from her house in Moose Jaw to the doctor's office just downtown. She wanted to be sure we got there safely, so patiently she instructed me as to when I should signal, what lane I should be in each block, how fast I should be driving, and how far from each car I should stay. I guess I was young at the time, probably no more than 40. With 30 years driving experience, of which I did finally remind her. And then there was the time I went over to her house in Sandbeck to paint the exterior doors. Keep in mind, I had recently finished painting the whole interior. I was stirring the paint and was just about to pour it in the tray when she started giving me heck and told me I needed to keep stirring it a whole lot more. I kind of laughed to myself and thought, geez, Grandma's getting bossy in her old age. But to this day, every time I stir a can of paint, I remember to stir it well. She did everything that way, providing a wonderful example of work ethic, steadfast calmness, and welcoming, well, hi there, that we could all count on and will always remember. I was very blessed to have grown up and then raised my children in the home and yard that she and Grandpa had created, and I never took this for granted. I'm so thankful for everything I've learned from my grandma and for the care and love she showed us through the most practical of ways. And then we have Brad. Okay, wait, I'm in the wrong order now. The pages are wrong. Here it is. Kim came first. My favorite memory of Grandma is really many memories combined. I was lucky enough to have her living so close while I was raising my young kids. We made many trips to Grandma's house, especially over those 15 years or so before the kids were all in school full time. We might make soup or bake cookies. We always had coffee with cream, some sort of baking, and the conversation was easy. We talked about everything, but usually plants, gardening, cooking, and kids. It was definitely one of my favorite places to be. Kimberly. And then on to Brad's. I'm sure, as the others have said, a lot of Grandma B memories revolve around the food she was always making. I do also have great memories of butchering chickens at the farm and heading to Saskatoon and then later to Moose Jaw to gather for Christmas and other holidays. When I did my short stint in Moose Jaw at school and lived with Grandma and Grandpa for the year, there was always food around, and a memory that stands out is the great ice cream bar she set up in the basement for me so that I would always have ready a bedtime snack. I think there was a fridge full of ice cream right beside it. Then we have Michael. First, I want to start off with a memory that makes me laugh every time I think about it. We were at our farm. I think it was a family reunion. We had a boxer named Jax at the time. He had this long tongue and was always drooling all over the place. Grandma was sitting in a chair and Jax walked up to her with his tongue out drooling, and she couldn't believe how long his tongue was. She said, "He better not come near me. I'll rip that tongue right out of his mouth." It was so funny. She was dead serious. And we could not stop laughing about how Grandma was not afraid to say what was on her mind. I might have inherited that. I was also blessed to live with Grandma and Grandpa for a couple years, like many of us who stayed with Grandma. We could always count on fresh baking and the best home-cooked meals. She would also always, in a roundabout way, let me know she knew that I was sneaking out and back into the house late at night. You could not sneak anything past her. I have so many memories of those days staying with Grandma and Grandpa that I will cherish forever. We will miss you and love you, Grandma. Say hi to Grandpa for us, Mike and Marta. And then Chris. It's kind of funny because as the memories go on, there's a lot of things that are the same. As we think of memories of Grandma Binner, I'm sure we have all heard, "Oh, Frank, you don't know that." Written from the heaven, and that has to make you smile. But what I remember and will forever remember as a little kid is the excitement of going to Grandma and Grandpa's house in Saskatoon. There was for sure going to be Pro Star cereal, a jug of milk, and the best Sunday morning cartoons. Of course, no cable at the farm. She would let me take some toys to the backyard to play, which at the time I'm sure it was the nicest yard on the block. Later, when I graduated from high school and planned to attend SciAst in Moose Jaw, I couldn't pass up the chance to move in with Grandma and Grandpa Binner. At this point in time, we had moved on to an endless supply of Fruit Loops, and I learned that whipping cream could go on every dessert. Because it was fall and Grandpa had picked every apple he could find, there was usually apple crisp 3 nights a week and apple pie too. Again, she had the nicest yard on the block and really only one rule that I can remember: call if you're not coming for supper. I was happy to hear Grandma decided to sell her home and move to Mossbank across the street from where my house was. It was also nice that the person who bought her house knew how to replace a few deck boards. Now in Mossbank, I'm thankful that my boys got to stop by and say hi to Grandma B, as you would probably find her tuning up the flower beds out front, as once again she had one of the nicest yards on the block. I'm sure every one of the cousins will agree Grandma Irene was the best grandma you could ever ask for, and that will always be one of my favorite memories. Chris. Okay, and then we get to Patrick. Just like many other of Grandma's grandchildren, I got the pleasure of living with Grandma and Grandpa for a full school year. And I had to think about this, and I think Kim and I are the only ones who never lived with Grandma. Just some summer holidays. Even though it was Grandpa Frank who was usually cracking all the jokes, I remember Grandma having some good one-liners herself that I'm having trouble remembering. But I'm having trouble remembering one specific one from my time living there. But I do remember whenever Grandpa would say something a little offside, and often a little racist, if you knew my grandpa, Grandma would respond with, "Oh, Frank." One thing that comes to mind when thinking of my time living with Grandma is apples in everything. And that's not a complaint. Everything Grandma made was delicious, but I'm sure we ate apples at every meal, usually for dessert. Apple pie, apple crisp, apple dumpling, apple sauce, and always with heavy cream. And of course, I'm sure we all ate Grandma's cabbage salad that also consisted of apples, which I think has become a family staple because it's actually easy. Most of the other ones weren't. There was nobody that could bake quite like Grandma. I will always remember her pumpkin pie, and nothing comes close to Grandma's pumpkin pie with cream, of course. A funny story I remember about Grandma in the later years when she was living in Mossbank is I was at her house with my mom and dad, and Grandma asked me to get rid of this old leftover chicken for her that she had set out in the garage. So Dad went out to get it so we could take it to the farm, Cats, only to find out she had hardly had a bite out of it. So Dad says, "Grandma, you hardly ate any of it." And Grandma's response was, "Oh, that was just some tough old rooster that spent its whole life banging." I couldn't even chew it. A funny story I remember about Grandma in the later years. Thank you for that, Patrick. A funny story I remember about Grandma in the later years when she was living in Mossbank is I was at her house with Mom and Dad, and Grandma asked if we could get rid of this old... Oh, sorry, I just read it. Oh, okay, that was his only funny. Thanks for the memories, Grandma, and thanks for the time you gave to me and all of your family. You were very special to all of us. I love you, Grandpa Patrick. That is it.